On the last couple episodes, we've been talking about planning to start a business and what kind of business entity you should select. Well, today on the Accounting for You podcast, we're going to be talking about what do I need to do as a next step once I've started my business. Welcome to the Accounting for You podcast, brought to you by the accounting firm of Adkins & Reynolds CPAs. This podcast is designed to provide relevant tax and accounting information to help you and your business succeed. If you enjoy listening in, please like and subscribe to our channel. Now, on to the show. Welcome back to the Accounting for You podcast. I am Chris Reynolds, CPA and partner with Adkins & Reynolds CPAs.
And I am Jay Adkins, CPA and partner with Adkins & Reynolds CPAs.
So we've been talking over the last couple of episodes about starting a business, about making a plan for your business, what kind of business are you going to go into, and we've also been talking about, in the last episode, about what kind of entity should I select. And we went through sole proprietor, partnerships, S corporations, C corporations, and I think that's probably about all that we did talk about. Well, today, Jay and I want to talk about what's the next step when you start a business.
And I hear this question a lot from clients that, they have a business idea, they know their business, but on our side of things, the accounting side, the bookkeeping side, they really don't know where to start. So today we're going to go through some steps on where they'll start after they have chosen their entity and done some other planning.
Yeah. So, you've already, you've got your business plan, you know what entity you're going to select. Well, the next kind of step is going to be registering your business with, with the federal government, your state government, your local government. And that can kind of be a daunting task, wouldn't you think?
It can, because there's steps that need to be done in a proper order. One thing I've come across recently with clients starting a new business, you have to get a federal ID number. But if you get a federal ID number first, and then you go back to the state and say, okay, here's my federal ID number and here's my business name, the state may say, I'm sorry, that name's already taken, or there's one too similar. So now you can't use that. You've got a business with a federal ID number that you can't use. So there's proper steps in the way to sign up with all these entities, federal, state, possibly local.
Yeah, so it's very important, obviously, to make sure you're following the right steps, because if you don't, you're going to create a mess. And if you created that big mess, it can be unraveled, but it can be a costly mess to unravel. Wouldn't you think so?
Yes, it can. It needs to be done in the proper order.
Right. So again, with everything, there's a plan. So you're going to get all of these agencies, you're going to get it registered based upon your business. If you're a service business or maybe a product business, you're going to have, maybe sales and excise taxes that you have to deal with. Obviously the income tax depending upon the entity that you're selecting, and you're going to kind of get all of that registered and get it set up. And then you also got to be talking about payroll. Are you going to have employees? Is this a business where you don't need employees, or you're going to hire a full team? What do you think about payroll? What do people need to be looking out there?
Well, with payroll, you're going to think about different things like frequency of payroll. Are you going to do it weekly, or are you going to do it bi-weekly? Also, as far as payroll taxes, there's a number of different payroll taxes that you're going to have to do on the federal and state and maybe local level that are going to be due at different frequencies. They may be monthly, they may be quarterly. So you're going to have to get set up on all of those. You're going to have to know which ones are going to be paid at what time. And you're also going to have to know how much is going to be paid and how they work, because they're all different.
Yeah. And so if you're not keeping that straight, you're getting into trust tax law there, and that's where you're going to get yourself potentially in trouble if you're not taking care of all those little nitpicky taxes.
Trust taxes are extremely serious for the business owner if they're not paid.
Right. And then based upon your state law, there may be other tax or other things that you have to deal with a payroll. For instance, in our state, there's a requirement to carry workers' compensation insurance.
Yes.
Different states may have state disability payments that you have to make. There's a lot there that maybe you're not thinking about. So again, workers' compensation in a lot of states are not it's tax related like it used to be. It's more of an insurance policy, so that's going to be outside of the accounting world per se. But again, these are all things that you've got to be thinking about if you're going to have employees, and if you don't have it set up the right way, you're going to be in trouble with all of those different federal and state agencies, and you're not going to be paying your employees on time. And employees normally do not work very long if they're not getting paid.
And there's other things along with it. Are you doing direct deposit? Are the employees getting written checks? Do you have any employees that may have garnishments that have to be withheld and sent in? There's a lot of different things going on with payroll that you have to be aware of.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got our business set up with the state agencies. We got all of our taxes that we're kind of registered for. We've got our payroll, if we're going to have payroll, and we're getting all that set up. The next thing I like to talk to business owners about when they've set up a new business is about the separation of business and personal. And I think a lot of people have trouble with understanding that in this, they have created a separate entity, and it is no longer theirs per se. I mean, it is your business, but it's separate. It's separate books. It's almost like you've created a separate person, and you don't put your hand in their pocketbook.
Yeah, I've seen many times in the past, especially with the smaller businesses that's single owner, they don't understand there needs to be a separate business account. All income, all expenses need to go through that account. Try to keep the personal expenses out of it. And sometimes they'll have an idea of, well, I own the business 100%, so business money in one pocket, personal money in the other pocket, it's all mine. It really doesn't matter if it gets mixed together, but it does very much.
Yeah, because, for instance, if you've got I'll give an example, an LLC, limited liability company. So if you're commingling your funds or intermingling your funds or whatever word you want to use, that can circumvent that legal liability protection completely, because if you're not acting like a business, there may be attorneys out there that's going to attack that, they're not acting like a business to begin with, so we're going to circumvent your LLC, and that, on the legal side of the world, that's going to completely do away with the whole purpose of having maybe the legal protection to begin with.
Right.
Yeah. So, again, business is one, personal is another. It's got to be kept separate, because if it's not kept separate, you're not also going to have liability problems. You're going to have tax return problems, because if you're going to be doing your own tax return, you're going to have to filter through all those transactions in the year to see what's personal and what's business. And how many times have you gone through client records that you've got to weed out personal expenses?
Well, I've seen that a lot. And one thing I try to get across for the client themselves, the more we have to weed out as far as the personal expenses, the higher the cost to the client. If they would just keep things separately, it's a lot less work for us. It's a lot less expense for them.
Yep, there you go. So keep it separate. All right. Now, the next thing that we need to be thinking about is, in the vein of maybe keeping the books separate, is, your bookkeeping options. So you've got your DIYs where you're doing it yourself. You're on a spreadsheet. Maybe you're on an accounting software, and you maybe visit a tax preparer or an accountant once a year. And how does that work out for businesses a lot of times?
A lot of times it doesn't work well, because things have happened during the year that need to be cleaned up. It takes a lot more time in tax season for us to clean things up. It delays the tax return because of the cleanup process. It can end up being more expensive because of that. And the big thing is, it also eliminates any chance for us to do tax planning during the year. So there may be some big, nasty surprises when that tax return is done that the client did not expect.
Yeah. Because if you're not knowing what your tax bill is going to be, April 15th may be a nasty little thing for you. It's good to be planned ahead and something like that.
I've seen clients with very high stress levels in that situation.
Yeah. So the way to alleviate that is obviously good bookkeeping. And we recommend and have had really good success with clients using more of a managed bookkeeping services. And that's what we offer here. And we're talking about like CPA oversight bookkeeping, to where we're really involved with the records and the bookkeeping on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, to where we can help the client actually run their business, not do their bookkeeping. They're out of the bookkeeping picture. Maybe they're paying their bills and making their deposits, but they're really kind of away from the day-to-day gory details of keeping track of everything in their checkbook, keeping the bank accounts reconciled, making sales taxes filed on time. There's a lot here going on. And with CPA managed bookkeeping services, we can be like your back office support for that, to where you can focus on your business and not the bookkeeping. Because I'll bet you didn't go into the business to be a bookkeeper and an accountant. Maybe that's why we went into business, right? But that's probably not why you decided to start a landscaping business. You didn't want to be a bookkeeper from 9 at night till midnight every night, right?
Yeah, most people do not want to do that. And there's a lot of benefits of doing this. Like I mentioned before, there's tax planning at certain times during the year. Keeping the books clean so taxes can be prepared quicker in tax season. But there's also some other benefits that during the year we may see things and point out to the client that helps them in their business. You get really busy running your business. You pay your bills. Maybe you're not paying attention. Maybe an expense is getting out of control. And you don't realize it until the year's over, that if you had cleaner books and it was being pointed out to you during the year, you might have been able to head off that problem a lot quicker and save yourself some money.
Right. Yeah. And then there's maybe trends in revenue. Maybe you don't realize that your revenue is trending downward, and we can compare that to prior years that see, hey, look, actually your revenue is not growing. You're actually trending downward. You would think you would feel that in your bank account, but sometimes there's instances where you may not feel that. If expenses are also, trending down or something. So it allows the accountants to be more of an advisor to you, and not just a tax preparer after the fact. So we can kind of walk through the year with you on that. And again, we have several clients that use these services. I think they'd be very happy to tell you that they like it. Yes. We like it because the books are clean and we're keeping everything up to date, and there's less stress for them and less stress for the accountant, especially come tax season, because tax season can be a stressful time for the client and the accountants.
And again, doing this throughout the year really helps speed things up in tax season. And most people want to know as early as possible in tax season, how things are turning out for them. And if we have to spend a lot of time in tax season cleaning up books, the tax return may not be done as quick as the client would like or that we would like.
Yeah. So obviously, if you're interested in those managed type of bookkeeping services, back office support from us, obviously reach out to us. Be more than happy to discuss package options of how we can provide that for you and your business. So just a little bit of a review. So we've talked about, starting, needing a plan for your business, selecting the right entity for it, getting registered for all the state local taxes. We've talked about payroll services. Maybe I should mention, that's another thing, obviously, that in those managed bookkeeping services or payroll services that we can filter into those kinds of packages because, again, like Jay was saying, taking care of those payroll taxes is very important.
Yes. And we prepare payrolls here for clients every day. We prepare monthly, quarterly taxes for a lot of clients. We can provide whatever level of service you might need. And then as far as the managed bookkeeping services, we certainly can put together a specific package for each client to what their needs are.
Yep. So there you go. Making sure that you are headed in the right direction with your business, making the right steps, planning ahead, and then ultimately, hopefully at the end of the day, stress-free, and making sure that your tax situation's handled. That's the aim of all of this from our viewpoint, and allowing you to run your business successfully and keeping all these little nitty-gritty details not right in the forefront of your mind, because put it behind you, and that way you don't have to worry about it. So Jay, do you have anything else that you want to add on this one?
Just imagine those stressful days when you're trying to work on the books, how nice it would be to run your business with that gone and with us assisting with that.
Yeah, there you go. So if you got any questions or you're interested in these types of services for us to help you alleviate this stress, be sure to reach out through all of our channels. Otherwise, we will see you next time on the Accounting for You podcast. Thank you for taking time today to listen to our podcast. We appreciate listeners like you and ask that if you enjoy what you hear, please like and subscribe to our channel to ensure you receive the latest episodes as soon as they come out. If you have any questions about the topic we discussed today or would like more information on becoming a client, please do not hesitate to contact our office by visiting arcpas.com or theaccountingpodcast.com.